While we all could assume that there's no love lost between Francis Ngannou, UFC legend, and the UFC's president, Dana White comes to the media to set the record straight by saying that Francis is not coming back to the UFC. And he's so happy that Francis himself chose to move to the PFL, which he does regret right now. Francis has been so uninvolved with the PFL recently. After easily getting through, what's his name, Hanan Fajeda, um, there was nothing left for him to do. He just kind of sat there with a free PFL belt and started to regret his decisions and wondered what he could have done in the UFC by now instead. Sadly, that bridge with Dana White is burned. Francis has been trying to kind of make little innuendos about wanting to come back, but I guess that was him just testing the waters with Dana White and seeing if Dana would welcome him back, especially because any Francis Ngannou fight in the UFC right now still would be extremely lucrative because Francis Ngannou is still known as a monster. He still has a somewhat large fan base. He's still marketable, but the issue is that his relationship with Dana White is so deteriorated that Dana will never, and I've said this as soon as Francis was showing some regret. I said Dana White would never, ever allow Francis Ngannou back in the UFC. That relationship was tarnished somewhat from the start. And I knew Dana is the type of petty guy, but maybe rightfully petty, to not let a fighter who, again, can still be marketable back into his own organization. So it is what it is. I'm neither happy or sad about this. I think, again, Francis is marketable, and he would have had, some really interesting fights in the UFC by now, and maybe in the future if he was welcomed back. But again, he made his own choice. He made his own choice. He went to boxing, he went to the PFL, and neither of them have, neither of them have an appeal to him that makes him want to stay for years. Francis kind of just wanted to dip his chip in the sauce, a little bit, and then then he ended up having too much dip on his chip, and he wanted to go back to the UFC. But yeah, he's not coming back. Dana will never allow him to come back, and it is what it is. And some people gave me flack for saying that Dana would never allow him to come back. So now you have your proof. Okay, Francis is never returning to the UFC, no matter how much money he could make. Let me know what you think.